we will be starting with is the online lecture series on placements. So the very first thing is how to prepare for placements. The very first thing that is required for placements is the CGPA that we get in our B.TECH. So it is always required that if you maintain your CGPA above 8, then that is wonderful, because most of the companies, when they get so many students from B.TECH, who apply for the placements, they always make the cutoff such that they get the cream out of all the people who have applied. Then always try that you don't get any backlogs, because if you will be having some supplementaries, some supplies that you have not cleared till fifth sem, then you will not be allowed to sit for the campus placements. So now from first semester, you have to set your goals and interests, like which company you would like to join. Some people are always interested in software companies, but some are interested in core electronics companies. If you are from mechanical background or something else, you will be interested in such core companies. So basically that depends upon you are interested in software or electronics. So depending on that, you have to prepare for your placement interviews, because if you are interested in software companies, you have to go for your C++, Java, web designing, cybersecurity and all. But if you are interested in electronics core companies, then you have to pay attention to the basics of analog electronics, digital communication, analog communication, optical communication, wireless communication, and so on. Along with these two, you have to keep solving the quantitative aptitude problems from day one of joining your engineering colleges. Because every company, they always put the prelim technical test that they have the questions of quantitative aptitude. So you have to focus on core subjects as well as on the quantitative aptitude as well. So now we come on to that the quant should be done from semester 1 to 4. Why? Now the question is why we should do from semester 1 to semester 4. You will be saying that we have just entered semester 1. We should enjoy our life because we have got the admission in engineering. Our life is set. No. You have to keep working towards your aim, one step at a time. Because when we go with our semester 1 to semester 4, we don't have much difficult subjects with us, because quantitative aptitude will be a part of all the placement companies, whoever are going to come in your campus for the placement drive. So from semester 1 to semester 4, you have to prepare with your quantitative aptitude. We will be discussing that how we have to prepare for that later in this video. So then the core subjects preparations should start from semester 3rd to semester 6, because after semester 6, directly the placement companies start coming in August and you start preparing for appearing for your placement interviews. Now we come on to what are these core subjects that we are talking about. So the main subjects that are being asked are computer networking, wireless communication, analog communication, digital communication, optical communication, and data structures. So these subjects are the most asked after. All the interviewers that are going to take your interview, they are going to ask from these subjects only. Until and unless you tell them some other subject that you are very good in. The second thing that we require is how you introduce yourself when you go for your placement interview and how good you are in group discussions. The very first thing is your body language. When you are sitting in front of the interviewer, what is your body language? Is it confident, nervous, or how you are behaving there? You should start by introducing yourself that good morning, everybody. Myself, Amrit from Patiala. My technical skills are, and first tell them that you are in which year of your engineering, which branch you are doing your engineering, and then directly come on to your technical skills. What they look for is how is your command over your language and how are your communication skills, how you keep answering them. Your presence of mind is what the interviewers in HR round are going to check. So you have to introduce yourself in these parts. Firstly, you have to tell your name, then which place you belong to. Then you will tell that which engineering branch you are doing. And then you will directly come on to your technical skills. And mind it, your these technical skills are very important, because based on your technical skills, you always create the projects in your engineering and try to make many projects. Even if you go for some courses to enhance your technical skills, always try to have the certified courses, because all the interviewers, even if you are verbally speaking, they are going to check the certificates that you have the knowledge of that and you have attained that certificate or not. Moreover, you should never tell them about your weaknesses. Just take an example that you go in any market and then you are going to buy a refrigerator, but the person tells you that this refrigerator works, but it gives a lot of noise. You are never going to buy that. Similarly, if you are going to buy a television and the person tells you that it has some blurred display, then you are never going to buy it. So never give your weakness. Always tell your strengths, that you are a team leader, you always are open to new ideas, you can work under pressure and everything. So now we come on to group discussion. Why these group discussions are required are because when we go for sometimes joint campus interviews there, because there are so many students that come there from different institutes, they first take your test, prelim test, then they take out half of the students and they divide them into a group of 15 to 16 students each. And from those 15 to 16 students, whoever they find fits their company profile, they just pick them up, whoever is very good in your GD. So you have to be for that, to prepare for that, you have to make yourself aware about the current topics that are going on, right? So we will be discussing about some GD topics also in the coming up series. So just stay tuned with me, because now the series have started and all the discussion will be there with regard to the placements only. And always in your GDs, try to speak in the start. Otherwise, if you don't know anything about that topic, keep listening to all the contestants that are there. And then after listening to them, just keep on noting down the important points. And in the end, try to conclude the GD. Even that is a very strong point if you can do that. So now we come on to that we have talked so much, then how we are going to prepare for our quantitative aptitude and core subjects for the interviews. The very first thing, wherever you are going to go in India, you are going to find R.S. Agarwal book to be the most useful for quantitative aptitude. But we can also, for your online help, we can always go to indiabix.com website that covers almost all topics, whether it is from quantitative aptitude or it is from your core subjects. So basically, when we are going to talk about indiabix.com, we will be finding the quantitative aptitude as well as the puzzles that some companies ask, and the core subjects of all engineering branches is there, like civil engineering, electronics, electrical, all core subjects are there. So now let's have a look on this site. Aptitude test, you must go for them. Then the data interpretation test, then verbal and reasoning. Because if we go for the exam of Infosys and all, they always give you the verbal and reasoning tests also. So you can always go for your that tests also. Then the current affairs and GK. Some of the companies they require that. Otherwise, you can see here that you can also prepare for your interviews, right? So placement papers, group discussion, HR interview round, you can find everything in this. This is basically the most important site that you are going to explore for your placements. And even if when you are seeing it, even if I can reach out to 100 students who can get placed through this, I will be the most happiest person. Then you can find here that for engineering, there are all the branches available here. If you belong to EC, just press EC and you are going to find out that you can find so many subjects. All the subjects that you read in your B.TECH, you are going to find them here. So you can see here, signal and system, exam question papers, matching questions, radio receivers. So similarly, if we are going for our CSC branch, you can go for your C programming, C++, C hash, and Java programming. So online tests are available here. Once you log in into this site, then you can avail their online tests and everything, so that in the end you should be able to prepare yourself through this site, that you are very confident in all the questions that can be asked. Now when we are going to discuss about some basic question, you are going to find that at SQL, C language basics, these are the most asked about questions, and data structures is the most important subject that every company asks you from. Now, some companies like Quarks, etc., they always ask you some puzzles also. So the puzzles are also a part of this site. So I would prefer to you that even if you are in your semester 2 or semester 1, start exploring your indiabix.com, right? Now let us have a look on some interview questions asked by many companies like Statius, Signizent, Mamsys, Chickmick, Hoping Minds, and others. Now let's go on to some questions in Word file. I have written all the questions that are going to help you to prepare. So now the very first thing that you all should keep in your mind is that you all should clear your basics, because as a fresher, they only expect that your basics should be clear. So when we talk about our first company, that is H&R Block, that is situated in Chennai, I think. So it works on your, they tell you to work on your resume, because you have to learn well whatever you have written in your that resume. You cannot put anything lame in that, that you have knowledge, you have no knowledge about that. So you should have a good knowledge about your projects. All the projects that you have mentioned in your resume, you should have a good knowledge about them. Then you should know everything mentioned in your resume. Not even a single thing should be copy pasted in that. Then you should study SQL well and learn the basics well. Now we come on to our second company, that is Sagacious. So you have to just study the core subjects. They ask you about your preferences of the subjects, and then the questions are mainly from those subjects only. Once you should have good understanding of those subjects, then the questions from these subjects, like firstly we will discuss about the computer networks. They ask about your explain OSI model. Then from wireless and mobile communication networks, they always ask questions like, what is the difference between CDMA, TDMA, FDMA? What is the difference between switch and a router? Then some puzzles are also asked by this company. So computer networking and wireless communication are the main ones on which you should put more efforts to learn. Then we come on to our third company, that is the Signicent. They ask you the questions like how internet works, how phone call connects, the display of phone is made up of which material. Mostly questions that my students gave me the feedback are from wireless and computer networks. Then they also ask if you have the subject preference of software side. Then they ask you about C++, Python, and other CSC core subjects, virtual arrays in C++. Then if you have told that electronics is the main subject you want to pursue, then they go for your analog communications, digital communication, optical fiber questions. Then there are some typical questions also, like why ATM touchscreen is slower than a phone one, right? So you must be knowing the difference between the two. Then working of three-phase motor, you have to explain that. Then the difference between DC and AC motor. So such type of questions are asked in Signicent. Then we come on to our next fourth company, and that is our MAMSIS. MAMSIS asks questions. Basically, there are 4 rounds. First is, mostly all the companies go for 4 rounds. First is the written aptitude test, then the prelim interview, then technical interview, and the HR interview. Sometimes instead of just prelims interview, some companies go with the group discussion. So the questions that MAMSIS asked is on Java, Python, DBMS, C++, and data structures. Then they also ask the questions from your arithmetic and logical aptitude. We just discussed about your indiavix.com and RS Agarwal, from where you have to prepare them. So the students gave the feedback that 45 questions were asked in written aptitude tests, which should be completed in 60 minutes. So aptitude question, what were the topic of those questions were the pattern, ratio, speed, compound interest, price comparison, work done comparison, etc. Were the questions from which the aptitude came. So all these you can find in your indiabix.com. So the questions for coding were from C++, Python, OOPS, Java, and AI. Some questions were also asked from DBMS, like a normalization topic was being asked, and the DSA questions were there. And C and C++, we have discussed this before also. Now we come on to our next two companies, that is Chickmick and Hoping Minds. They asked mostly the questions from DSA, OOPS, and any one language and project related questions. Like if you are very good in Python, you must have made some project in Python. So they will be asking you about Python and the project which you have made, depending on your proficiency in that language. So you always should speak such language in which you are very good at, not the basics of, because basics they check out that every engineer should know the basics of all these languages. You should be at a higher level in that, even not intermediate, but at a higher level. So that is why I told you that to choose your aim and goal in the start of your semester 1 and 2, because only then you can go in that direction, right? So the questions, other questions were on array and linked list questions. Then regarding skills mentioned in the resume, they will be asking you about projects, and the multiple questions were asked according to what you have used, what skills you have used in that project. In DSAs, they ask questions from arrays, pointers, stack, queue, binary tree, dynamic memory, allocation, etc. Now we come on to your next company, that is NEC Corporation. If you apply for front end developer, the most questions they will be asked you will be from your JavaScript. And in DSA, they mostly ask questions from strings and arrays. So I think that you know that if you are right now studying your data structure algorithms, then on which portions you should pay more weightage to. So according to me, you should have great command on these two topics if you are applying for this company. Then we come on to the next one, that is NetSmarts. So again, OOPS concepts, MySQL, what are the imbalanced data, how do you handle it? Then PCA and how do you use it? Reasons to choose random forest algorithm. Then architecture of CNN, LSTM when we go for machine learning. Then we come on to our next company, that is RTech LLC. So all questions that they asked were technical question, and the all questions were what you have written in your resume. Also, the interviewer checks your presence of mind in every situation possible. So you have to give logical statements, and anything that matters is the confidence, and you should always show confidence in your language, whatever thing you are speaking, your body language, your expressions in your hands movement, in everything you should show confidence. And always be on tips with the skills you acquire in these 4 years. You have to acquire many skills in these 4 years because they are going to pass in few seconds. So in the snap of the fingers, this time passes because you have your all age mate friends with you. And if you are going to enjoy and you are not studying, you are going to lose a lot, many things. After you finish your B.TECH, you are going to realize that. So again, the questions regarding this DSA, strings, arrays, and hash maps were being asked. Then we come on to the next one. That is your Sun Focus Solutions. The first round is aptitude test. So you can see that every company, they go for the aptitude test. So you can know that how important it is for you to prepare for your aptitude. The second round is the interview based, in which OOPS concept, resume based questions on HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Node, and mentioned projects will be asked. The third round is the HR round. Now, Ikara Solutions, they also ask you the questions based on your JavaScript and DSA. Then Directorate of Governance Reforms, Mohali, some students applied there and they gave me the feedback that they ask you about C++, data structure algorithms, Python, C++, Python and core subjects if other than these you have mentioned. Now we come on to some general questions that are asked by the HR in the HR interview round, or by your even if the technical team is taking your interviews, they can ask you some of these questions. Tell more about yourself, not mentioned in your resume. Means whatever you have written in resume, you can tell me, can you tell me something more about yourself? Accept that. So you should always have something in your mind that if they ask you this question, what you are going to answer. So they will be telling you, tell me about yourself. So your introduction is one thing that you should start repeating every day in front of the by standing in front of the mirror or in front of your parents, or by recording your that interview and keep on listening to it every time. Next, they will be asking you, this is the most favorite of their questions. Where do you see yourself after 5 years? Would you serve water to client if no serving man is there in the company? Where will you see yourself after 5 years? Why do you want to join our company? Where do you watch yourself in the future? Why we should hire you? So you should have your strengths here, that you can tell them that I have these strengths. That is why I think I fit the profile of your company. And I think that is why you should hire me. So this is all about the interview question on that is because this lecture series is on placements only. So the next lecture I will be taking up on the importance of GATE exam and why we should give this exam. Thanks for watching, and I hope that your my this video lecture is going to help all of you, whoever has subscribed to this channel. And I'm always there for comments and suggestions. If you require anything else, kindly let me know, because only then I will be able to help you. Thank you so much for your cooperation.